All right, well, several minutes have now passed. I've erased the board. From some offline discussions, I want to just bring up a few things for those who are kind of watching the videos, either at home because you couldn't make it here, or even, who knows, many years later. So when you're going through this, let me mention a couple things. It's kind of designed on this section, that the lectures are designed to give you a brief overview of the ideas and the concepts to make the concepts approachable. My firm belief is a good book is very terse, that it gets right to the point, it gives you the proofs, it gives you the solutions, you know, maybe a couple examples, but not a lot else. Because when you want to come back and reference the book later, you don't want to be wading through lots of other stuff to get to the solution. For it to be useful to you in a practical sense, it's got to be terse, and then maybe an example to look at it or things like that. You need the proof to know why. But a book designed in such a fashion is extremely hard to read. And if they added in all the extra stuff to explain everything, it would still be hard to read. Because now it would be so large, it would be cumbersome, and you never want to read it. Nobody wants to read a 50-page chapter on something. It just, you're not going to want to do it. So a lecture, kind of the human interaction, you'll get bored partway through it. I mean, I do too. 20 minutes, I'm asleep in a lecture. So I understand that. I'm hoping you're pausing and go do jumping jacks or something, I don't know, right? But when you do that, right, the lecture should give you the insight into that topic area that you can then go and read the book, right? Now you can either pick the book that I had suggested to you, which I didn't bring, but you know, you can either use the one that's on the lab thing. It's Heath's Scientific Computation book. There's a ton of other really good books that are out there, though. I think his is more terse and better covers topics, but whatever. You know, find a book that's cheap. Unfortunately, he's also really expensive. So the lecture should make the book approachable. You should be able to read it. You should go, oh, I see that thing. Oh, I know how this works. And then you can look at it and see the proofs. And like, you know, where I mentioned the error is smaller in the middle and stuff like that. You can read it. And there are some implications that I haven't gone into. Since the error is bigger on the outside than on the inside, you know, and that's because all these points are here. Well, I could do less points in the middle. And the error would go up in the middle, and I could put more points on the outside, and the error would go down, and I can make it even. So that the error is even all the way across. But I'd have more sampling points near the outside, and they'd get sparser towards the middle. There is actually a method. Somebody looked at it for the ideal spacing. That's what Chebyshev interpolation points do. So if you ever see all these weird little interpolation functions and interpolation points and stuff and go, why couldn't people just pick one thing? We couldn't pick one thing because there's a lot of trade-offs, right? What do you really want? I can't go into all these. This is designed to be a refresher course. If you really want to go into all the details, you have to take a full course on the introductory areas. This is supposed to just get you enough up to speed that I can get you into Krylov subspaces and things of that sort for the fall lectures. That goes in. But, you know, Chebyshev interpolation polynomials will even out your errors that go in, that goes on. It turns out the worst thing you can ever do is a nice, even interpolation as far as errors are concerned. But that's what we do when we time sample, right? That goes on. Well, if I did a non-uniform time sampling, I could reduce the errors. But then it wouldn't be a nice even thing, so then it makes it more difficult for me calculation-wise. It's a trade-off. And so, you know, treat the lectures, which are going to be kind of high level, you know, break it up into chunks, watch a chunk on a particular topic, you know, then read the book, convince yourself that the book is right, try the associated lab. The lab gives you a first read-in and it kind of explains what's going on, and I start most of the work for you that's going on. I explain it, I pull the right equations out and all that, and I set it up to the point where you can just write the actual code and then solve the code, get your answer, and away you go. Right? Then if you go to the book and you look at the problems at the back of the book, the problem breaks, at least the book that I picked, breaks them into two types of problems. There's regular exercises, which are kind of the math proof portions of these things. those are kind of good to look at to make sure you understood the proof and understand where errors can come in and things of that sort. And then they have computer exercises or computer problems, something of that sort. Those are kind of like basically lab problems that nobody started for you, where you have to kind of figure out how to set the whole thing up and write them. So I would kind of suggest that you do it in this fashion. Watch a lecture, read the book section, try the lab, try the homework, go to the next topic. So that's kind of the fashion that I would do it. If you look inside, I tried to break the topics up somewhat into what are called modules. So I don't like complaining, but I'm a person who happens to hate Canvas. This is the only way I can seem to group these up in Canvas. Maybe I'll figure a better way out in the future. But the modules, if you look into them, there's a thing on like floating point and errors. So the very first thing in there is a little wiki page that has the associated video lectures kind of put in order, left to right, top to bottom. And then, I actually think I did this in reverse order. I'll try to flip it. I think it does homework and then labs, but just do the labs first and then try the homework things. But look at the back, make up your own homework problems. Those are just some homework problems I picked that were out there. But as time goes on, I'll keep adding more modules to try to break down where the lectures go.
Does it really matter what order we do the modules in? Are they fairly independent?
They're semi-independent. Right? So semi-independent in this way, that you don't necessarily need everything. Like the first one that's in there is on floating point. In some sense, floating point underlies everything we do, because you're implementing on a computer and floating point errors are one of the major error sources. So when you go to the next one, which is I think linear algebra, doing AX equals B type of stuff that's going on, theoretically some knowledge of floating point and where the errors can come from is helpful. Do you need all the details of what was in the floating point section? No. So as long as you understand some basic things on floating point, you could jump and do them out of order. That being said, if you follow them in the order, everything should build. Once you get to kind of the middle thing, all bets are off. Like for instance, what I've been talking about today has been really chapter 7 stuff in the book. I completely skipped optimization in 6, and I'll probably go back to it. But the reason I skipped it is because I think the stuff we're doing here fits very nicely together with the least squares stuff, which I think in the book is like chapter 3 or 4. Now, it also turns out that you can rephrase a lot of the optimization stuff in the same format. So the right sequence, once you get to the middle stuff, is pretty nebulous. So I think floating point, at least some amount of it, it's important at the beginning. After that, kind of do whatever your interest follows. Probably floating point and matrix, because almost everything we do uses matrices also. So those first two ones I would treat as fairly sacred, and then after that, it's now come down to my profane opinion. All right. So hopefully that gets everybody up to speed on what's on here. To make my life easy, I'm going to stop the video and restart.